Each morning, like clockwork, a snarling ATV ripped through the silence of my private land. At the controls, Loretta Vance, Willow Creek's self-declared trail boss. She insisted the Cedar Grove Community Alliance rules gave her full permission to roll wherever she pleased. But here's the kicker. I'm not part of the CGCA. Finally, I followed her, phone in hand, recording everything. That's when she flipped, screaming that I was the trespasser. What follows? Police reports, tickets, an ATV disaster, and a tantrum so off the charts it needs popcorn. Buckle up. This gets crazy. The sun hadn't even cracked the horizon when Loretta's lime green all-terrain vehicle ripped across my lawn, gouging out deep ruts in the grass as if making a statement. I figured at first it was a one-time mistake. Perhaps she got disoriented or thought the land belonged to the public. But then she glanced directly through my kitchen window, grinned with head cocked high, and waved me away as if I didn't own the place. Dust had fallen on torn grass. There was no error. By day 2, I was on my porch waiting. I waved her down. "Why are you on my land?" I bellowed. She revved the engine harder. "CGCA trail. I have rights." I blinked. "I'm not on the CGCA." With a wave of her hand, she said, "Doesn't matter. All trails are fair game." I simply stood there. That's not the way property deeds work. She floored it, her engine devourring my words, leaving in her wake ripped grass and one last look that said, "Deal with it." It became her routine, mornings, afternoons, even midnight excursions. "Stay off my land," I'd yell. "CGCA says I can," she'd reply. Or, "It's always been open." Or the old standby, "Jealous you don't have an ATV?" The weeks went by. My yard resembled a racetrack. My nerves were fried. My own dog was afraid to venture outside. And then the rain arrived. Mud collected where there once was grass. Loretta took a slippery patch during a full-tilt zoom, and her ATV plunged with a magnificent slurp. Helmet cocked to one side, she flailed like a cartoon character until she spotted me on my front porch. "This is your fault," she screamed. "How?" I asked, crossing arms. "You didn't stop me." "Right," I replied, advancing. "You knew this was my land." Her face turned bright red. She stamped so hard I feared her boots might get stuck too. She ordered me to push out her rig. I just shook my head. Fumbling with her phone, she snapped, "I'm reporting you to the CGCA." I laughed. "They don't own me." She stormed off, her ATV still stuck like a beached whale. A few hours later, she returned, dragging her husband, Mitch Halt, worn down by her wars, a man whose eyes had seen too much. He pulled at the vehicle in silence while she raged on about antisocial loners with no respect. I'd had enough. It was time to go to the CGCA office, a small, airless room where board members shuffled papers as if under duress. I spread it all out. "Loretta's tearing through my property," I explained. Evan Crane, a board member, let out a dry cough. "We can't really rein her in." Glenda Tate, already ready to quit for lunch, sighed. "She does this to everyone. Warnings don't sink in. She just rides over." "So she gets a free pass to wreck things?" I pressed. Evan shrugged. "She's a bulldozer." Then, speaking in a lower tone, he added, "Play her game. She uses CGCA rules as cover, but they won't shield her indefinitely. Stand up to her. She'll stumble over her own words." His words stuck with me. That evening, I heard her ATV humming in the distance, teasing me from afar. If Loretta wanted to play covered under CGCA bylaws, I'd play by those same rules on her. The next morning, as always, her lime green ATV shrieked down the same ripped-up trail. Same smile, same swagger. But I was through being passive. I took my phone, pressed record, and followed on foot. If her path was public, I had every right to walk it. She looked at me. Her eyes bulged behind sunglasses. Her ATV slid, coming close to tipping over. "You're trespassing," she yelled. I halted. "Me? This is private property." She pointed at me, quivering voice. "My land." I remained cool. "You mentioned it was a CGCA trail." Flared nostrils, and she shouted, "You're harassing me." "So public now?" I asked. "Aren't you, like, 10 minutes ago?" Flushed with indignation, she pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police." She called 911, reporting I was harassing her. The officers came promptly. Loretta became a full-time performer, flailing arms, shrill voice, sobbing about some maniac lurking and pursuing her. I let her complete her act, then showed her the video. Weeks of her ATV tearing up my lawn repeatedly. Officer Lena Morse groaned. "Is this your land?" she asked Loretta. Loretta nodded. "Yes." "Well," Lena said, "CGCA land isn't private lots." Officer Nate Walsh chimed in. "Deeds trump bylaws." Loretta blinked, upset. No retort. Nate wasn't finished. He added, "Me? Harassment?" I repeated as Officer Lena watched the tape. "She's blazing across his land," she said without missing a beat. Loretta stammered. "That's not the point." "Pressing charges?" Nate asked, looking my direction. I stopped. Her expression was a storm of panic, and I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed it. "No," I replied, "but I am filing with the CGCA." Loretta's scowl could have melted steel, but she didn't say anything. No engine roar this time, just a silent, smoldering withdrawal. Later in the day, Evan sent me a CGCA forum link. Loretta had put one up there, portraying me as some sort of menace, calling for a ban. Elliot Petition, she titled it. Nobody signed, not even Mitch. I chose to dig deeper, really go through the CGCA rules. That's when I hit pay dirt. Loretta's shed? It was 4 feet over her property line. Her garden gnomes? Broke the community's visual harmony regulations. Her ATV? Unregistered. That's a $600 penalty. I filed a complaint, in detail, with pictures. Days later, CGCA slapped her with 3 infractions and hefty fines. She was furious. I sat there watching her yank gnomes from the ground like they had betrayed her. When she caught sight of me looking on, she growled red-faced. I merely sipped my coffee. "Morning." She shut her door so violently the gnomes would have jumped back if they'd been standing. For a little while, my yard remained quiet. No ruts, no upheaval, no Loretta. Peace, however, never lasts with her. One night, as I was barbecuing ribs, I saw her standing at the edge of my property. No all-terrain vehicle now. CGCA had forbidden it, but she was plotting. She nailed up a sign, "No trespass, CGCA trail." I laughed. "Signs don't supersede property lines," I yelled. "CGCA says so," she shot back. "They held that you were trespassing," I said, raising my phone. "Care to have me read you the letter?" She pulled out the sign and stormed off. I figured maybe that would be the end. But Loretta doesn't do endings. She escalates. Evan gave me the warning, "She's ranting again. Attend the park meeting." I did. There she was, waving papers at the crowd like she was calling for war. "Some people," she said theatrically, "are tanking our property values. We must remove disruptive owners." I stood up. "She stalked me on my land." Loretta didn't bat an eyelash. "I call for evictions," Evan intervened. "Loretta, no one signed your petition." The room shifted uncomfortably. Glenda whispered, "Isn't that the rib guy?" Loretta's eyes flashed. "He chased me." I raised an eyebrow. "You rode through my yard." Her jaw set like it was wired together. "Corruption," she snapped. Then she grabbed her papers and took off. CGCA voted. Loretta was on probation. One more infraction. Larger fines. No more ATV. Period. Weeks went by. No noise. No Loretta. For once, I slept soundly. But just when I thought it was finished, a city zoning inspector tapped on my door. "Complaint," he said. "Your property's on CGCA ground," she barked. I smirked. "Loretta," I sighed, "not my first rodeo. My deed, rock solid, verified, mine. But here's the twist. Her fence and shed, they encroached 3 feet onto public ground. Loretta, who lived by the rulebook, had violated zoning laws. Soon enough, she got the notice. Relocate or pay. She argued, of course, "I'm exempt." The city didn't care. 2 weeks later, she was hit with $1,000 in fines. Another $1,000 for dodging. Her fence came down. Her rage shot up. She yelled at the workers, then spotted me watching, arms crossed, proud. She spat toward the dirt. Overjoyed, huh? I just grinned. Word traveled fast. Loretta, the queen of complaints, was now the neighborhood joke. CGCA members rolled their eyes. Even Evan ghosted her calls. Then one morning, a for sale sign popped up on her lawn. Fines, shame, or silence. Something finally snapped. A month later, she was gone. To celebrate, CGCA threw a barbecue. Unofficial, but definitely symbolic. Evan raised his glass. Peaceful now, huh? I clinked mine. Finally. My land was mine again. Quiet. Whole. Then a truck pulled into Loretta's former driveway. I squinted. A woman emerged, waving. I approached, wary. Hey there, I'm Elliot. She smiled. Laura. I braced myself for a moment. She laughed. Not that kind. I hike. I relaxed, smiling. No engines? She shook her head. Nope.